Kino pavasaris. Kovo 18, balandžio 5 dienomis visoje Lietuvoje. Didysis partneris Ergo draudimo grupė. Informaciniai partneriai TV3, 15 min žmonės.
Mūsų karta pirmoji supratusi, kaip iš lėto kenkiame gamtai. Ir vienintelė, žinanti, kad dar yra laiko ją išsaugoti. Apsaugokime mūsų visų ateitį. Ergo.
Geriausius kino pavasario filmus parodys žiūrimiausia televizija TV3. Šeštadieniais 22:40.
Festivalis Kino pavasaris jūsų namuose. Visus filmus žiūrėkite Telia televizijoje jums patogiu metu. Telia. Įdomiau tik gyvenimas.
The laws of physics. The laws of life. Laws connect everything. We think that to be legal advisors, we must live under the same philosophy. Adapting to connect and connecting to adapt.
Labas vakaras, mėly Kino pavasario ir 15 min žiūrovai. Džiaugiuosi su jumis sveikindamas iš Kino pavasario studijos, nes šiandien ypatingas vakaras. Šiandien su mumis yra Berlyno Auksinio lokio nugalėtojo Radu Jude filmo Q&A, kurio metu aš labai noriu paskatinti jūs užduoti klausimus šio filmo režisieriui Radu Jude, kuris šiandien yra su mumis prisijungęs virtualiai. Radu, welcome to Vilnius Film Festival, virtual one this year. It's a great pleasure to have you.
To meet you in this form. Everything is virtual. Exactly. Anyway, film is virtual by definition, so it's...
Well, first of all, congratulations with the triumph in Berlin. It's
well, thank you. Don't blame me. It's the jury to blame, not me.
No, but this was an incredibly outstanding film in the Berlinale competition, and I'm extremely happy that we can have it here in Vilnius Film Festival, which is just weeks after Berlinale this year. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that actually the film meets the audiences, not the industry people, but the audiences. And I'm just going to put here another emphasis that I really invite our spectators to ask questions in the comments in our streaming platforms. And Radu, I would really love to actually start from like maybe what is raising the most question about this film, and which is actually porn, which is already in the title. And in order to speak about the themes that you're elaborating in the film, you could actually use anything. The accelerator could be many different probably things, but then you choose this story about the leaked porn video, and I wanted to ask why particularly this small detail, which is really provocative and probably raising a lot of questions.
Well, maybe it's a it's a midlife crisis. I don't know. No, actually, you know, I think this is how things started. Not because of a case like that, which existed. Some of these cases were around in Romania, and not only in Croatia, in France, in Holland. I stumbled when doing the research on many cases like that. But I didn't start with that. I start with having a discussion among friends who are parents as well. I'm a parent myself. I have 2 children. And discussing a situation like that, all of a sudden, the discussion became very polarized. People started to be either for the teacher or against her in a matter of seconds. So I said that maybe this kind of story, of a situation, is something interesting, although it's something very trivial, very a small thing, nothing important, but it's a way, it's a door to something deep inside, from a psychological point of view, from the point of view of our values, from the relationship between the body and the society and the politics of our intimacy and of our private lives, and also the mixture between public and private, which is nowadays something that we are all experiencing in one way or another. And so these were the questions. So I did the film in order to somehow touch these questions, not to make a story, because of course the first idea was, okay, let's make a story, let's depict this couple, let's see how they are making the porn video, and it didn't go anywhere. It was just a trivial story, and I said that all of a sudden I understood that it's more interesting what is behind it, what is around it, not exactly what's the story itself, so to speak. Yeah.
And I know that you're, like, from the previous films that I've seen, that you've made, you're like one of the bravest directors probably of European cinema. But then again, putting this particular scene at the beginning of the film, it should have raised some questions also from producers and other people that were involved in the filmmaking. And the scene could have been somewhere in the middle of the film, but why it was so important for you to put it exactly at the very beginning? That's the first images that the spectators see when they watch the film.
Oh, first of all, because this is the center of the film. This is the rest of the film is somehow going around it, going in circles, going. Trying to enter in a relationship of montage with that scene. I think that's one of the reasons. And the second reason, maybe, or the other reasons, I think it's one, of course, we all know from the beginning of cinema that there is a relationship between cinema and voyeurism. So in a way, I wanted to explore that, or to put that in front of the viewer, to make the viewers a little bit voyeur, and also I think it's a little bit perverse from my part, the fact that the viewers become the parents in the film, in a way, because they are watching the porn film at the beginning, so they will have an opinion about it, and then they are in the position of the parents, so they will have in their own mind, of course. So this is what I imagine. They also have an opinion about it, one way or another. They could relate to it. They are forced to take a stand, or to be against it, to be for it, to be indifferent, not to take a decision. But I think they are forced to consider it in a way.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that is probably like really striking in the film, it's this up-to-dateness, the fact that we see people with the masks, and it reminds us of a really recent past that we all experienced, and we sort of recognize a lot of patterns from our daily life, etc. I wonder if the film was actually born when the pandemics were already on, or the film kind of experienced some sort of genesis throughout the time, and then it appeared to be in this form.
Well, actually, it was I think thought years before, like many years before we shot it, 2 or 3 years, and then it's always a time to make the screenplay, a time to get the money for this kind of film, the preparation and so on. And the pandemic started immediately after. We wanted to actually, I had the good idea to shoot the porn film first, and I did that exactly last year, 1 year and 1 month ago, before the pandemic, 2 weeks before the pandemic. And I did that because I wanted to have that video to see, to write the reaction of the parents exactly based on how the video is, because we were supposed to shoot in April last year. And of course it wasn't possible, but at least we had that video first, the first video we had it. And then we had to decide what to do. Either we wait until next year, because it was that idea, which now we know how naive it was, that, you know, in 1 year things will be perfect, everything will disappear, and no worries, just wait 1 year, and maximum 1 year, you know, it was like, and or to shoot in the late autumn, to try and see. And I didn't want the late autumn because I knew that the second wave was coming. I mean, it was all these people saying, so I trust them. I said, well, maybe this second wave will come, and it came. So I said, immediately after the lockdown, let's do the film now. With what money we have, let's prepare it for 2 months and then shoot it right away. So the lockdown ended at the end of May, more or less. And in August we were filming already. So we had only 2 months of preparation. And then I said, how we do it? Because, you know, you invite actors. It was immediately after. Nobody knew how it's going to be or how it should be. And there were some vulnerable actors, some had vulnerable parents or families. So I said, well, in the end, it's a film about contemporary times, so let's make everything, let's respect all the rules. It's no problem. And I tried to offer you, I said, the best possible protection. I don't want to risk anybody's health or life for a film. So, and I said the mask will be great because it's a film about being masked and unmasked, and with the mask off, that's the essence of the film. So it's going to be great and surreal to have the people with masks on. And then we did all the protocols. I mean, we tested everybody several times. We did, and that's on the expenses of Ada Solomon, the producer. And we shot with a little bit more smaller crew and much faster. All the film was done very fast. We didn't have time for anything. We didn't have lunch breaks, but only some sandwiches outside. So yeah, this was what we did, you know.
And that is exactly the reason why it's I think that it becomes such a an exact documentation of our times. As I mentioned before, we really recognize the patterns and the images of the pandemic somehow, and also the way the life goes on during the pandemics. And here I would like to maybe a little bit turn into your field of interest of your previous films, which is even though this film is very contemporary, but then you've been always somehow I don't know, starting from the historical I don't know, issues, problems, and historical events, and then in this film you sort of use only maybe the middle parts to mention it, but in this way it's somehow a little bit different from your previous films. And I wonder if you can comment a little bit on this, maybe a little switch in your oeuvre.
Well, I think all my films are different from one from another, more or less, because not because I want that or I search for that, but because I'm unable to develop more a style or something like that. And I'm very envious on great artists, great filmmakers who have a style, that they have a style. I mean, if you see a film of Frederick Wiseman or of Hong Sang-soo or of, I don't know, Ozu, you immediately know it's a film of theirs. So it's something very, very deep there and very personal, and I don't have that. And now I don't even search for it because I know I will never get it. So I'm okay with it. But so for each film, and I really believe that film is a form which helps us think. And you cannot make a film, or I cannot make a film if I don't have an idea about the form that the film should have. So basically, in this case, I think it was, and maybe it's different from the other films. As I said, it's impossible to not be a little bit different. But in the same time, I thought of it like a historical film about the present, so to speak. So I said, let's look at the things that we have now, like they would be, you know, uh, like 20,000 years passed, and now we get back in time and we look at our world and at our people and situation and cars and buildings, like it's something new again, you know. And also, it was this idea which I found liberating, which I found in a Malraux book called The Voices of Silence, and he speaks about the great painters like Delacroix, like old masters, so to speak, and how if we look at their paintings now and the sketches that they made, we can find that the sketches are more modern and they speak to our sensibility more than the finished painting. So I said, why not? This is a great idea. I said, I want to make the film to look like an unfinished film, like a sketched film, like a film which is not completely finished. Of course, this is an artistic strategy, because I say that because some people accuse me on the internet in Romania saying, oh, he made a sketch, so he got the money and he didn't even deliver us a film. He just made a sketch like that. No, it's not in this way a sketch. It's a form more free, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, but what you're saying, that you don't you don't have a shared like style between the films. I think that's the reason why we as spectators, we're always looking forward for your next film, because it's going to be a total surprise. But I would like to go now, because you started to speak about the structure and the style of the film, which has a little bit of sketchiness and a very, very interesting, I think, formalistic approach. And like what is like most like visible is the structure of 3 parts, which was obviously something that you probably thought at the beginning before making this film. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of having these 3 chapters and then the like completely different approach to them from the stylistic point of view?
Well, actually, no. As I said, first of all, I tried to make the film like a traditional storytelling film, and didn't really work out. And then I found another idea to break the story with small things that were somehow related or not related, regarding which is now the dictionary part. But then before that, I did the film uppercase print, which you had the kindness to show in your festival last year, I think. And in uppercase print, I used the same strategy, and I think I found it too close and already finished for me, so I needed another structure. And all of a sudden, I think I was in France to do the sound mix of the film, of another film, and I saw an exhibition of Cubist painting. And it was like a revelation. And I said, oh, now after I saw the exhibition, I said, look, for me, it's totally obvious now that how to make the film and to break it, to make it like a Cubist painting. You know, you in a Cubist portrait, let's say you can have the nose here, the eyes here, the mouth here, and you have a portrait. And I said, well, this is what I am going to do. I will take the elements and make this dictionary, which I wanted to have this literary device, and then the first part, and then everything came together in a flash, like a moment of a bit of inspiration, if I can say so. But it was an inspiration based on this a lot of thinking before, and then it was very easy to structure it like that.
Mm-hmm. There's a question actually coming from a spectator, Goda, and that's a question that's related with the previous one, because it's about the structure. And it says, the film has several endings. If you would have to keep a single ending in the film, in the final cut of the film, which one would it be and why?
Well, yeah, I can understand why why the question appears, and it's a very tricky question. But no, the film has 3 endings, and that's it. That's part of the film, all the 3 endings, you know. So I cannot choose one because all of them are part of it. Oh, I can say I like the third one. It was very fun to do it, and I like it. But it wouldn't be fair to do, because if I would want it to have only one ending, I would have one ending, and that was it. And but I wanted to have all the three of them, so all the three of them are part of the film. So I cannot choose. But well, if you, I don't want to seem arrogant, so I must answer the question. So if somebody would put a gun in my head and say which ending you keep, I would keep the third one.
And then from here, of course, comes my next question, because I think in the movie there is a lot of this some sort of flirting with the bad taste, and of course, starting from the porno, which is not coming from the high culture, and your movie is obviously part of this art film world, which won awards, etc. And also at the last part, it reminds us of like cheap TV productions, sitcoms, and also the endings that bring up the like really popular elements, like also, I don't know if you agree, but some sort of camp elements. And then maybe you can just like speak about this not comparison, but putting those uncomparable things together.
Yes, I think yes, it's there is something interesting, I think, or something which needs to be explored in this form, in these cheap forms. The TV language, the bad taste, the camp elements, and I was always attracted to that. And in the same time, I hated them. I hate them because I think they are somehow ruining part of the serious discourse, the serious talk about cinema, the serious part of the cinema sometimes is destroyed by this, because many of these are commercial devices, right? Like advertising, like sitcoms, soap operas, I don't know, genre films, most of them. But in the same time, and I think this is the advantage of analysts, of film critics or theorists or sociologists or whoever works with analyzing, it doesn't matter. It's like Umberto Eco said, it doesn't matter the object to analyze, it matters the method, how we analyze. And I think that's not fair. So I want to use these forms like an analyst would use it. I mean, to analyze them, but in the same time to use them for my own purpose, for my own interest in different ways, or for different topics they are normally used. Of course, I named this the third part sitcom, and it is shot like a sitcom in a way, but you would never see a sitcom like that on television, that's for sure. So it was my way to approach what I like from these forms, from these popular forms, from these commedia dell'arte forms, I don't know, and also to express my hate against them at the same time. It's very neurotical, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another thing that comes that is actually striking in the film is this like free, like really free way of putting really serious, I don't know, problems of the society, which includes, I don't know, like moral hypocrisy and anti-Semitism, etc. But then putting it in a very humoristic way, especially in the third part, and then eventually we as spectators, we laugh about, like really horrible truths about our society, the fact that like how much of hatred and how much of like all sorts of syndromes like homophobia is part of like our daily lives. And I wonder if you can just comment and elaborate a little bit on this comic approach to very serious topics.
Oh yes, I think it's but people are accusing me here because, as I said, the film leaked on the internet in some incomplete versions, and Romanian are seeing it like that, and starting even to write reviews, although the film is not out yet. and they say, well, I think these guys, some of them say the film is bad because this guy put everything there, and this is unacceptable because, of course, you cannot go to a meeting and find there racism, anti-Semites, you name it, whatever it is the case. But from my experience is that when one people has this type of thinking, it has all the others. I mean, it's very rare to see a racist which is not anti-Semite in the same time and not a moralist in the same time. It might happen, but from my experience, not. And in the end, I said, look, it's like there was a discussion on the internet. Somebody said very somehow like the film is didactic and educational. And Veronica Lazar, who's a philosopher, and she wrote about my films several times, she said, well, what's educational in it? It's like a middle finger shown to everything, and that's it. And I think I feel close to that. It's like my way to saying fuck you to this kind of attitudes which I don't like and I hate, and I have the freedom to do that, and I did it, and that's it. You know?
And I just wonder if because the schools plays a very because you mentioned educational maybe like the ways of interpreting your works as part, like it's a kind of a strict education for like very I don't know, dark society. But then again, education, because the central place where the action takes place in the third part is school. And actually, like the main protagonist, she's a teacher of a well-regarded school, as I understand. And from like the way she speaks, we understand that she's like a really high-profile teacher, like something that you would love to have as a parent or as a kid. But then again, what we meet is a complete rejection from parents, which are somehow defending their own interests and so on and so on. And then I think that there is like a very strong comment on the educational system, which the way I interpreted film, I think that the film sort of shows how faulty it is.
Oh yeah, I think obliquely the film touches upon the problems of the educational system, which are enormous, and I think that that's unfair to comment on that starting with this film, because the film only touches that. I think somebody would need to make a lot, 100 films about that, and I'm thinking to do one actually proper film about the problems of the real problems of the educational system, because it was the communist system of education had a lot of problems, but at least it was more or less inclusive. Everybody got a free education and so on. Not a perfect education, but at least it was something. And the neoliberal society that we put in place after the revolution in 1989 created a kind of a worse system of education, where people who have money can have access to some so-called good schools, but the concept of good school, I think, is horrible, because it's not what I understand by good school. What they understand by good school is if the kids can go to a university or to a high school, that's all. Not if they understand something, not if they start to real think or to real understand what's around. No, that's not. That's out of the question. And on the other hand, in the rural areas, in the countryside, there's almost not education at all. The schools are closed. Many people abandon schools. Many kids abandon schools. So you can imagine that this creates a very, very big problem for the education. But I think in the film this is not touched properly, because this is not the topic of the film. But I wanted to have this story in the middle of this educational system, which is bad.
I have a few questions from the audience, and Algirdas is asking, what is the most ridiculous and most absurd thing you heard about you and your film?
Sorry?
I
didn't hear very well.
I'll repeat the question. Algirdas is asking, what is the most ridiculous and the most absurd thing you heard about you and your film?
The most ridiculous thing about me?
What you've heard, yeah.
Oh, the most ridiculous thing I heard about me about this film.
No, I believe
About
the
me
question is
generally.
regarding this film, yeah.
Yes, about me, I heard. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know because there were so many things written, like I'm the dirty Jew because of my name, although I'm not Jewish, but making these films with a theme of Holocaust. They said I'm a Jewish, and no, a lot of insanity like that. I heard that somebody said that Aferim was awarded in Berlin because the title is a Turkish word, and we know that Germans have a lot of Turkish population there, so this would be the reason. It was like a sign, the German title. So no, I heard a lot of things about me. And regarding this film, as I said, there are quite a lot of insanities said about him, especially because people, I imagine that the gentleman saw the film, and you see that the second part is a montage with images and text, and the relationship between text and image all the time. And in some of the bootleg versions, the film is without text. So people are saying, well, this is a complete idiot because he just thrown some images there with no meaning whatsoever and he got an award. So this is unacceptable. Although it was in the media that the film on the torrents is, in the Romanian version is not a complete film, but they don't care about it. So yeah, I think this was the worst. And also somebody said regarding this film that the first scene, she was a woman. She's a woman who said that, a woman like in her late 40s or 50s, I don't know. And she said, the film starts really bad because they show this married couple having sex and they have children. So if people are married, they don't have sex so passionate, they have it much boring than it is in the film. So I just felt sorry for her, but yeah, that's the comment.
And there's another question from the audience. Rimantas is asking, when did the title of the film came to your mind?
Yes, that actually the Romanian title is even more complex because it Babardele cu bucluc sau porno balamuc is a mixture of somehow slang words with old words. This bucluc is an old Turkish word from the Ottoman Empire time, and it used nowadays to mention something which is bad luck or not really working, but also it's used in tabloids and cheap theater plays, like boulevard theater. So I think in English it's lost some of its complex meaning from Romanian. But the first title of the film was The Sleepwalkers, which was because it was a nod to the novel of Herman Broch, which somehow inspired me long ago, the idea to make a film made in 3 parts and so on. But then I said, no, it's too much pretentious title. And then I said, I want a messy title. I want a messy title to also to look like a sketch. So this is why it's or in it. So I wanted to have not a definite title, so to speak. And then, when I said it first, it was actually when I was in an interview like that, and I said to that lady, what if I name the film Babardele cu bucluc? And she said, no, it's too dirty, too vulgar. And I said, so this will be the title, and I kept it.
And another question comes actually about the last song of the title, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's M.A. Numinen, who's the author of the film. And could you tell us more about the ending song? Was it created just for the film itself?
No. It's he's a composer. Finnish or Estonian. I think it's a Finnish composer, and the text is actually from Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus of Wittgenstein, and this guy Numinen put on lyrics in English and in German the text of Wittgenstein, and there's a quote that starts with, if you want to know if the picture is true or false, you must compare it with reality. So I thought it's a good ending for the film.
How did you find it out? How did you find out about that song? Where did you hear it first time?
Oh, I'm interested in Wittgenstein's philosophy. I read, I'm not a professional philosopher, but I read quite of it. So searching things about Wittgenstein on internet, I stumbled upon it at some point. And I wanted to use it for other films as well, and it never worked. So I always took it out, and now I could use it. It was extremely expensive. My producer was not very happy with that. We didn't imagine that it could be so expensive, but it was really expensive.
But that stays for a while when you finish the film, actually. And that's
yes, but still.
Maybe one last question that actually I would like to ask is about the images of Bucharest, because this film, maybe more than other films of yours, was like really, your camera was sort of directed to different parts, like also following Emmy. In the first part, we see a lot of Bucharest and a lot of this maybe critical, probably point of view, turning the camera into something that is like speaking a lot about probably some contemporary issues of Romania. Can you tell a little bit more about this exploration of Bucharest?
Yes, I think first of all I would correct the idea that it's like a documentary on Bucharest, because of course it is, but in the same time it always has a fictional element in it, which is the actress. It is also part of the fictional world in a way, and I think that's very important to have both directions in the film. That was very important to mix what is called fiction with what is called documentary. In the same time, of course, 90% of the elements there are documentary elements, so to speak, and the camera is pointing to them and trying to make connections, which sometimes have a clear meaning, sometimes a vague meaning, sometimes a very opaque and not clear meaning, I think. And it was the idea. I called it a one-way street, of course, like a nod to Walter Benjamin, to get back the metaphor he used for his title. But it's my idea that if you look at the things around, you can find in them some signs that they point to what's behind, what's around, what are the values. I mean, if you go into a city, and in a foreign city, especially for the first time, you understand a lot about. And I wanted to look at the city like a foreign person, and you look and you start to see signs. You start to see which are the values of those people. Somehow, what is important is around. It's in front of you. You just have to look at it. You don't have to look to search more, like a detective. It's like you are a detective, and everything is given to you. It's in front of you. And so I trust a lot this idea, and I didn't, we didn't block streets. We just shot Cine Verite, like in a reportage. Of course, some things didn't happen. Some things were interesting. Some things were cut out from the film. We had 30 more minutes with that scene in the editing at the beginning, and then I gradually took them out. And it's interesting that many people from the ones who saw the film here in the bootleg version said that, wow, this is either very boring, the first part, and well, I cannot help it, or other people say, oh, this is such a auto-colonizing attitude. He wants the city to be better, and yes, I want the city to be better. If this is auto-colonizing, why not? But then they say, oh, he's pointing the camera only towards awful things, which is not true. There are at least shots with flowers or with the trees, with leaves in the trees, which for me are beautiful things. So it's not, and some other. It's not only ugly things. It's not true.
Okay, maybe just like one last question, which because you touched the theme of of actually quoting a lot of philosophers, a lot of thinkers, a lot of, and the second part is actually the combination of quotes of like many different tractates, and it also uses images. And then I wonder if you can just like tell us a little bit more about your methods of working, like the way you select images and ideas, and because you said that a lot of things had to go out eventually, and then
yes,
how do you make your
well,
choices?
in the first part also, I think we had 20 more minutes or even more, which I took out. Oh well, you see, that's I don't know how to answer to that, because it's not a method I have, or I try to develop it, but I'm not succeeding it. But I think Godard gave the best answer to that when he was asked why he's quoting in a film, I don't know, a poet or something, and he said, look, why do you want me to create the sentences or the words I'm using? Because the trees I'm filming, it's not made by me. If I'm filming a tree, it's because they exist. So why not taking the text in the same way? And I think he's right. I think the job of the director is not to invent a language. I mean, to invent the lines of the characters necessarily. He doesn't want to. The job of the director is to put things into connection, to connect things. You always have to connect something, to connect a character with other character, with a camera, with the sound, with the music. That's the work of a filmmaker or of a theater director. You have to put things into connection, to connect them, to juxtapose them. So yeah, starting with this idea, I started to collect a lot of things years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, which might be connected in a way or another to the story, and put them down, like notes, taking notes and put them into the computer, quotes, photographs I encountered, paintings, all this kind of stuff, which in the end became part of the film, because I don't have this desire of being a creator, you know, of the film, to create myself the lines or the story. I see my job more modestly, as I said, just to put some into connection and to offer the audience, to offer them a quote or a sound or an image or a connection, not more than that.
Mm-hmm. Our time is up, unfortunately. The movie raises a lot of questions. We could talk forever, but maybe for the end, you could tell a little bit more about something that you're already working on, and then something that we should expect in the next Vilnius Film Festival, maybe.
Oh, actually, I'm working a lot. I'm finishing a short film, which is a kind of analysis of toys, for the world of toys, which was shot together with the feature film, but only now I finished the editing. And I'm also making a film composed of, you know, I'm always asking myself, why is the fact that a writer can have a book composed of short stories, or a painter can have an exhibition with paintings, or a photographer can have a book with different photographs, and a filmmaker cannot have a film composed of different films? So what I want to propose now is a feature film, hopefully probably 60 or 70 minutes, which is made by short stories, short films, which all use in one way or another archive materials. So it's related to history and to the traces of history, to these materials. And yes, I think that's now, and I'm working on other screenplays, but because I have to apply to Film Fund, I'm not able to tell publicly what they are about, because the law here is that if they are known publicly, they can kick you out from the contest. So I cannot tell you my new project what is going to be.
It's okay. We'll stay patient. That we'll wait until the movies are finished. But then there's just one short question from Irena, spectator. Which other Romanian director are you close to in spirit?
That's an interesting question, because of course I respect all my colleagues and all the so-called Romanian New Wave. I have a deep respect and admiration for them. In the same time, I think I'm, how should I say, I'm more interested, like everybody, I think, not only of Romanian film, and what I think is lacking in Romanian cinema is a desire to experiment more with forms. So I think that this dimension is quite missing. There are some young filmmakers which I like. For instance, there is a very young filmmaker called Christina Hanes, a young woman filmmaker. She made some wonderful films, and I really admire her. And from our old masters, so to speak, I'm very, very close, and I really have my biggest admiration and emulation in a way is for Lucian Pintilie, who died 2 or 3 years ago, and he was a theater director and a film director, and at least one of his films called An Unforgettable Summer, made in 1994, I think it is a very important masterpiece, who also influenced me in dealing with history, because he's always very lucid, he's anti-nationalistic, and there's no sentimentality in his work. And I would really invite you, everybody, to watch this film, An Unforgettable Summer by Lucian Pintilie, if you have the possibility.
I mentioned that actually we are screening his reenactment in this
great.
festival. So this is part of
I didn't know that. The reenactment, it's I think it's one of the first great Romanian films, and it still is the best Romanian film ever made. It's in all this top of critics and filmmakers. It is made in, I think, 69 or something like that, or 70, and it's as good a film as a Miloš Forman or a François Truffaut film from that time. It's a wonderful film.
So I really invite our audience also to watch Reenactment by Lucian Pintilie, which is part of our thematic program, To Be or and To Act. And I really want to thank you, Radu, for your time spent with us.
Thank you.
It's been a great pleasure, very, very interesting time. And I wish you good luck with your future projects. And I really hope that next time we're going to meet in person.
I would love to.
So take care and best luck. Bye.
The same for you. Bye-bye to everyone, which I don't see. Okay.
She's Emmy, an eminent romantic teacher from Little Paris. In a single moment, her whole life is turned upside down. Will she be able to face the angry mob of parents, teachers, drivers, officers, aviators, priests, corporate people, silver foxes, and more? The critics have spoken. 3 thumbs up. Better than the new James Bond. Tender and subtle. 2021 is the year for this new masterpiece by Radu Jude. Bad luck banging, great filmmaking.
Da, e adevărat ce zice acolo? Că sunteți actriță porno?